Hi, my name is Leah Roca, and I am a third year student at the King's University. And my field project assignment was on a Methodist denomination. And I went and visited last Sunday the First United Methodist Church of Grapevine here in Grapevine, Texas. Um, they hold a traditional and contemporary service at the same time at the same campus, just in different locations of the campus. I chose to attend the traditional service where I can get more of the Westland theme, more of a traditional feel. I'm probably am going to go and attend the contemporary service next Sunday just because I would like to see, compare and contrast the differences in the two services. Um, their general theology and belief is all are welcome to the church. They're not too picky at all of who attends. They even have open communion. They have the Lord's Supper at every service, and they have what they consider open communion, so anybody can take part of that communion, whether you're a member or not a member, or even if you're a believer or a non-believer. Their, I guess their reoccurring theme is community. Community within the church and community on the outside of the church. I picked up on that theme throughout their bulletin, throughout their service, how friendly the people were in welcoming me. On their website, community is in everything they do, and they do a really good job at getting that vision across and it coming through in their messages. Their church, the denomination, the Methodist, was born from John Wesley. He is the one who founded Methodism, but the church itself is 150 years old. It was founded in 1866 by two pastors, Reverend Nathan Hudgens and Reverend Daniel Starr. The vision back then was to worship together, to learn about Christ, to serve others, and to gain in the faith, to grow in the faith. And it's the same theme as today. They still adhere to the same vision and mission. Um, Again, they're all about community. They have several outreaches. I mean, a lot. There's 114 places that their members can volunteer as. Um, they don't require a whole lot in order for you to volunteer. You just have to have a heart of a servant and a service and a heart for community. This here. The role of the senior pastor and the leaders. I wasn't able to talk to a pastor about their specific roles and gather a lot of information. I do have an appointment to talk with them this week, but from what I gather and what I witnessed was the pastor is the one who casts the vision, leads the people in the vision, feeds them the Word of God, and he oversees the different department heads. They From what I could gather, especially from the website, there's one senior pastor, one associate pastor, and two pastors in training to be associates, which I found kind of astonishing. For the bigness of their vision, and they have 2,500 members of the church, plus a contemporary and traditional service. I found the amount of leaders, or I guess official paid leaders, staff members, to be small to what their vision and the amount of people that they're handling. During the service, the pastor delivered the message, the senior pastor delivered the message for the traditional service, but right before he served us the Lord's Supper, he mentioned that he had to leave and let the associate pastor be the one to serve the Lord's Supper because he had to go next door to the contemporary service and baptize a member. I got the impression that it wasn't a video service done in the contemporary service, so I'm not quite sure who did the actual message in the contemporary service. So, like I said, I'd like to go back next Sunday to the contemporary and be able to see how that is ran. Let's see here. One of the they have, like I said, a lot of different support groups, cell groups, outreaches. They are so heavy into outreaches. They hold literacy classes to help speaking Spanish speaking residents that don't know how to speak English. They will help them learn how to do that free of charge. They have some kind of service where there's a group of lawyers that will do pro bono cases first. After they have to kind of go through an interview process, and they'll take their case if it meets their criteria. They also have this really cool outreach that's called Stephen Ministries Care. I don't know if that's something they branded themselves or if that's something that's well known, but it's basically like a ministry where if you need an empathetic ear, just to listen to you. They're there just to listen and maybe offer a couple of encouraging verses. They're not allowed to counsel or give advice. It's not a counseling thing. It's just if you need to talk, and they're trained to just listen to you and offer some encouragement. And they also have this thing called coffee and encouragement. And I asked them what that was, and they said it was exactly what it sounded like. You come, you have coffee, and you're there just to uplift and encourage each other. So if you show up, you're there to participate and to receive. So I was just really impressed with their theme of community. They felt, even though it was 2,500 people and they had them split between traditional and contemporary, and I got the feeling that the contemporary side was had more members than the traditional side did. But the traditional would do hymns and choir, and contemporary there was no hymns, and I don't think they had a choir. So the traditional had altar boys and like two 11-year-old boys that help with the sacraments. So they stained glass windows, pews, and then the contemporary service was held in the gym. They have a small sanctuary where they consider it a chapel, and they're renovating it. And I think they said in 2 weeks it'll be open, and that's where the contemporary service will be held. So it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it, and the sense of community. The way I was treated as a newcomer, it was very welcoming, and I felt like I fit right in. And they have a huge heart for mental health. They know that today's culture, mental health services are really needed, and so they're in the baby steps of creating that. But they already offer Al-Anon and AA meetings from their church, but they want to offer classes on bipolar, depression, anxiety, and me being a counseling student, that is just right up my alley. So I was really excited about that and thought that was neat, that was a burden that this culture is putting on them, and they are willing and really desire to answer that call. So I enjoyed my visit. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Good night.